Good evening and welcome to the Team 7 podcast. Maybe it's not the evening where you're at. Could be the morning. It's the evening here. Oh, it's night. Maybe not even evening. It's the middle of the night. Anyways, Team 7 podcast, episodes 3. Where are we at? 341 through 346. I was not prepared. But yeah, so just a few episodes, but man, we had a lot of development this time. Some big reveals that not only did we find out who was behind the mask, but we saw that not everything is what it seems, as we've learned with Naruto time and time again, to the point that some pretty massive plot development has now been shed into a new light. So let's talk about it. Let's start with episode 341. So actually, Orochimaru's return, which kind of gets outshined here with everything else.
Hey, do you all remember when I was like, I think we're all in Itachi's genjutsu. He's gonna, like, the whole world is his genjutsu. Mm-hmm. And that was like ridiculous. But then like Madara wanted to put the entire world under a genjutsu. Mm-hmm. Them Uchihas wilding out.
That's right. They tend to do that. The whole bloodline.
So I'm pretty good about not looking at titles just because sometimes they are spoilers.
Oh,
and
every episode of One Piece.
Sure.
It's just a description of what happens.
It is.
My first note is because I fired it up and the title is Orochimaru's Return. And I'm like, what? That wasn't even like a thought that crossed my mind. Ever. Dead, gone, forever. But he's a sneaky snake.
There are some, for lack of a better term, ass pulls in Naruto. It's one of the flaws of Naruto. We've seen some. We even talked about one last week with Madara just suddenly just saying, nah, I'm going to stick around. I don't care if the jutsu is being disbanded. I don't care.
Ass
pulls. Pulled out of your ass. And so I don't know what joke you're trying to make.
It's not a joke. It's an asp. A snake.
That's a joke, or that's a snake?
Asp,
an asp? Yeah. Never heard of
that. Where's it native to?
No, it's like the word for snake. Asp.
Nope. It's snake.
100% asp.
Got it.
It's another word for snake.
Somebody look that up.
It's in the Bible. You all should know.
I have forgotten.
I'll read it. You read it.
I've forgotten what I was even talking about. I was going somewhere with... Okay, so this was clearly planned because we don't know necessarily. Maybe it's been said. I can't remember if Kabuto said why he had Anko there. But Anko's been there for the whole time. So
she's always been there for me.
That's true. And good.
But we did find out why, though.
What do you mean why?
Because of the curse mark, he was able to summon himself out of it.
I'm talking about. I don't know if Kabuto said why he had Anko there.
Gotcha.
To bite that tattoo on her shoulder, like the Chainsmokers song.
Weird. What a weird reference.
Wow. Yeah.
Could be, just like that. But what I'm saying is there are ass pulls in Naruto. I don't think Orochimaru's return is that. I don't think it's one of those at all. It seems pretty planned out and she's been there. So it doesn't feel out of nowhere. It doesn't feel out of nowhere like suddenly I know how to do these hand signs and disband the reanimation jutsu, which would be a little bit more like understandable if that was their plan. If that was if that was Obito's plan and Madara's plan was to use the reanimation jutsu instead of Rene Rebirth, I can accept that a little bit more and be like, okay, he knew the signs. But to just know it feels a little whatever. But again, I don't think Orochimaru's return is that. And we've yet to see, what they're going to do. Because we really just saw him for a minute and they're like, he said, "Come, Sasuke, we're going somewhere that you know quite well," and then never see him again.
But like, before we move on from Anko, because like Asher loves her, I love her,
Yeah,
world loves her. She's gone now, right? Like, you don't.
no, she's not dead.
You don't.
I didn't think that.
She's not dead.
That's
how
my
you
bleeding
throwing
heart.
up a
Also,
whole human and not
What do
suffer
you
the
mean?
fate of the end?
Oh, because it came out of like her.
Oh, it didn't come out of her mouth.
No.
Came out of her
It just
curse mark.
extracted. It extracted out of the curse mark. Yeah,
Gotcha. Well, we'll see you again, Anko, sometime.
maybe. It is.
Yeah.
And look at that. Good on you. I'm gonna show an asp.
Oh,
And it's
asp is
backwards.
another word for a snake.
Yeah. Suck it, Zach. Idiot.
Get
So,
rolled, Zach.
This might not have been out of nowhere, but I hate it just as much if it was planned.
What, Orochimaru
What?
returning?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see what happens.
Just because he sucks?
Let's see what happens.
Nasty?
We don't know why he's back. We don't know what Sasuke wants. I will say that Sasuke's track record has been atrocious, and it's probably going to be terrible. But
You're not going to say both of their track records there?
No. But he seems to be
the same slimy guy he's always been.
Well, yeah, but like he
100%.
seems to be just kind of like, well, he's open to helping Sasuke, but we don't know what Sasuke wants. So, yeah, we'll see more. Well, it'll be a minute though. Next batch
That's
is
fine. Keep him on my screen, not my lord.
Oh my gosh. Well, so 342, the secrets of the teleportation jutsu, we see Might Guy absolutely show out.
Dude, what a absolutely satisfying scene.
He's so cool, dude. He's so cool. And I love whenever Obito is like, he said, "What's the point in telling you who I am?" Or what's the point in telling you what does he say? What's the point in telling someone that doesn't remember faces like their name or something like that? I can't remember. I butchered that really badly, but it was a good line. Asher, do you have it written down somehow?
No, I didn't write that one down. I was pretty just enamored with Might Guy this episode.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an absolute dingus, but he has a spread in the middle of like a Hustler magazine, and here he is showing out, as you said.
I mean, still have that screenshot on my computer. Of that.
It's in our Discord. It's like not far enough up
yeah.
to not just go and look at once in a while.
There it is. Oh
God,
man,
what a gym!
So my guy is like all of his counter moves with this timing of their strategy and whatnot. Honestly, some of the best fighting scenes, like I would put it up there in the top 5 that we've seen so far.
Okay, yeah. And I don't know if this will give a little bit of like a glimpse into what we'll see. I don't know if that scene even qualifies in what we're going to see is like a top like 5.
Heck yeah.
Like and part of that is with Guy.
Yes.
And that's, dude, it is, oh my God, it's so rewarding. I counted the episodes before we started recording. We have, with everything that we've watched, we are 90 episodes away.
Dang.
That's all we've got. And that's with 11 or 12 of those. I can't remember the Kakashi arc, which is next. That is all filler. So it's technically like 78, 79. But since we're doing that arc, and there's like a Naruto versus Mecha Naruto episode, like just one episode that we might throw in if you guys just want to watch something stupid, and then There's some other ones that aren't the worst, but I would. It really just depends on how much of like a time suck that'll be. 1, 2, if the arcs allow for it, because some of them are going to be so beefy that like I would hate to even put a filler episode on there, just because there's already going to be so much more to talk about that actually matters. So we'll see. But 90 is it. So we're sub 100, which is like crazy. To think about.
Yeah.
That's awesome. We are at the end. So
give me 1 second before you move on.
Oh no, I was going to start talking about that fight again, but what were you going to say?
Oh, let's talk about the fight, and then I got something to go back to in the first episode.
Oh, okay. Well, no, just go back to the first episode. I really was just going to bring up the timing, like how. Okay, what I was going to say was the timing of Minato. Like whenever we first saw Minato and what we know now as Obito fighting each other. And Minato slips his kunai through his head and then does all that. That timing was like mind-boggling the first time we saw it. And then we see Naruto and Guy have this like incredible, and Kakashi have this incredible timing. Like 4 times over, they run that thing. And, you know, at this point in the story, like, there's a lot of just like power scaling that just like happens out of nowhere, and everything just kind of like has to be chalked up to like everybody's really strong now. And that's the payoff you want. Like I remember watching the beginning of Hunter x Hunter versus the end, and oh my God, that show is so good. Like I love that show. But by the end of the 5th season, everybody's so strong that you're like proud of them in like the best way. And I hope that you guys feel that too. And I hope that when you see power scaling, your first thought isn't like, well, that's stupid. Instead, I hope that it's like, that's amazing.
More of a payoff.
Yeah.
Especially knowing like
that way.
Especially knowing every time there's a shadow clone out, we know Naruto is able to like feel that 100% and know like get better at what he's doing. Like it's not like a wasted venture. Like we see a major shadow clone scene coming up, and just thinking about that and everything that Naruto's done before, it's not like wasted time with all these shadow clones. Like he's like learning as he goes.
Yeah. That story aspect, while it should have been introduced in OG technically, like he should have like kind of started to pick up on that. But that story aspect of like learning from his clones, it one is really cool, but it also like you got it. Like think about like the war knowledge that he's gaining, like the fighting experience, all those like things that like get doubled, even like or not even doubled, like however many multiplied by the amount of clones. So that, I mean, that also can be chalked up to why there's so much power scaling from Naruto and Kurama. You know, they link up and things synergize because they've been together, but now it's like, and Naruto's been learning how to work with the Nine Tails. So now to have him on his team, like it would make sense for the scale to shoot upwards very, very steep and quickly in my mind.
Every time it shows them, go ahead.
I was going to say, what's your thing from the first episode?
Oh, I'll just say this and then I'll go back. So every time it shows those 3 guys together working in unison, it's so satisfying. Like
when you say those 3 guys, who are you talking about?
Naruto, Guy, and Kakashi.
Oh yeah.
Like seeing those 3 on one like unified team in the moment. Those scenes, like those frames are just so good.
And I love that they break the 4th wall like ever so slightly with Guy being like, Kakashi, I get it. I know what you're feeling. Naruto is a full-grown adult. And he's like, you can't be feeling that right now. I love that.
So back in the first episode, we got like some of the most premium writing that honestly should be like written out and framed in a museum. Okay. We had Octopop say, yo, check it. dreams. Lots of dreams abound.
Mm.
Ever out here on this battleground.
Mm-hmm.
Even probably, I've mistyped it. I dream of women's boobs so round.
Yeah.
When dreams are fulfilled, this is where truth is found.
That's right.
Wow. That's
so
powerful.
Good. It is. And the sub translation for that is still the same, like boobs so round.
Amazing.
But I wonder what like the literal translation is. I'm sure it's still something to the same effect, but like for the rhyme to work, like I wish I like understood Japanese to like get the like the rhyme itself.
He's in for a real ass pull if he ever realizes they're not all round.
Yeah, I think he's realized that.
I don't know. I'm not sure if he's ever seen any. I could see that going either way.
Okay,
I think he found a magazine and found Guy Sensei in there.
What magazine's he picking up?
I don't know what that one was called.
Be like
Shinobi.
How is this?
Shinood.
How is this a nice treasure?
Shinoodies.
Shinoody. That's it.
Shinoods.
Yeah, let's talk about the reveal. You guys called it. I knew it would be tough for me to throw you off the scent last week with like just trying to raise doubt. Just anything, trying to play devil's advocate to everything and not like signal in to be like, yeah, it's pretty obvious at this point everything stacks up to be that it's Obito. But I do want to ask you guys one thing. I would be shocked if you remember this. Several episodes ago, can't even ballpark when, I accidentally called Toby Obito. Did either of you pick up on that? And so what I did to save it was I said Obito, and then I started talking about Obito and Kakashi and Rin the way that we know them, and like tried to tie it back in like a different way. And so I felt like I had saved it, and I wish I could go find the spot. It would be so hard to dig through that. But
I didn't want to bring Rocket League into this, but what a save.
Rocket League always has a place here.
So maybe subconsciously
picked up on that?
No, not in my memory, but maybe subconsciously. Because I was talking to Asher last night. The episodes where we find out about that team, Rin, Obito, and Kakashi. I had watched the episode 119 twice because I still love him, but I love Kakashi so much. I wanted to really understand like what they were trying to say here. And something from that episode just kind of shook me a little bit. And I know that he dies. We find out he didn't. But whenever Kakashi and Obito are in a disagreement and they're split because Rin has been captured and Obito wants to go save her, Kakashi's like, no, we have a mission to go to. Obito said something that was like, that's going to come back up later. And it has. So in episode 119, the last line of the entire show, he's like rebutting Kakashi and says, if doing that makes me less than a real shinobi, then I'll just go and crush all the so-called real shinobi. And I was just like, dang, that's pretty...
Ruh-roh.
He doesn't seem like a guy that would crush him. That's weird. But I was like, I'm not going to just let that go. Because I heard it twice, and I was like, it just kind of nagged at me a little bit. Kind of like Heat On. Like, we know he's still out there. And it was like, we've seen so many of these, like, bring him back moments in these weird scenarios. Here's another one, which it's good. Like, I'm not saying it's a bad, like, arc. I'm just saying I didn't assume that was the end of Obito.
Now, I did tell you guys that is the end of Heat On. We never see him again.
Sure.
So yeah, just
But
that
I'm just
is
saying,
the
like,
truth. I'm not lying about that.
no,
I've
I
lied
get
about
that.
some
Don't believe you.
things.
I get that. I'm saying he's still there though. Like the concept of him being in an unforgivable and like an impossible scenario. It's possible he could come back, and he's the one that's not going to, according to you, right? The other
Right.
people are like Orochimaru, like what the heck?
Yeah.
Never
All
thought
is a
that.
return.
Out of left field, never had a scent of like, oh, he's coming back. Like
Yeah.
Kabuto abounds at this point in my head. And
Yeah.
but that line from Obito when they're at odds, I was like, that's too heavy of a thing to just throw out there and then die.
And from such like a sweet
I love
boy.
that. Yeah. Definitely gives off like the vibe of innocence and like wanting to do right. And obviously we see how he changed, what happened. So I don't think that we need to like hammer in like your all's reactions to it being Obito because you guys basically guessed it. But yeah,
I will say about that, it was kind of for me like once Zach said it, I couldn't get it out of my head. Like nothing else would have made sense. Because we
Toby
knew
Rama was a great guess. That really was a great guess, just from like the name significance and the
jutsu significance.
Yeah, definitely. The eye, would have been a stretch, but there's always the eye transplantation stuff that they do. So that can be easily written away. So I liked that theory. I hated that it was wrong just because, it would have been something new and different.
It's like so on the nose though, like his name was Toby.
Right.
Toby Rama.
I will say though, even though I did say it and I've, I kind of had that prediction, it was still super satisfying to watch.
Yeah.
Like when Naruto landed that final, when Naruto landed that final hit, it was just like, who are you? It was like, all right, we're about to find out. And then it was like, very, very, very satisfying for the buildup that it has been.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Then I saw him and I was like, who is that?
I think the biggest reaction has to be the voice change. It's shocking every time. It makes sense. So when you hear child Obito and then you hear adult Obito, you're like, oh, okay, yeah. Makes sense. That's the grown-up version of Obito. But now that we've heard so much of Toby, which we've learned now was the spiral version of Waizetsu, doing that voice. And then we hear Madara's voice. So to hear a third voice change and it be somewhere in between the two, something very high pitched and very like, crazy, and then the direct opposite of that, somewhere it feels like Obito's is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So the fighting technique is really cool. I like the way that Naruto lands that hit. I think it's really cool, but the logistics for me have some problems because we can see that Obito can go fully into that world. And we know that Kakashi has used the Kamui like multiple times. And we know that Obito knew that Kakashi was there, but like it just feels weird that it was never even like brought up for Kakashi that it like, not that Obito was alive, but that like that Kamui is connected to some other realm, like just more than like I'm disappearing into oblivion, and like that seems to be the way that it was treated until this fight, and then he suddenly starts to have all these revelations back to back to back. Obviously really cool for the fight, but I don't know, I guess you cut him slack because it's like he's not an Uchiha. I'm just looking at y'all looking at me.
Yeah. The idea, like I'm trying to process it though, because I didn't even think about that, and then like it didn't bother me, I guess is what I'm saying.
And I guess I'm not saying it should. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it should.
To me, like we see the explanation of like just parts of Obito would go into this space
Right.
time shift. But it didn't say every single time that happens he's going to this hideout that he's made.
Right.
But you're saying because Kakashi and Obito are connected, Kakashi should have been able to see that?
So, not that he would have like been able to see it, but the pair of eyes, this is like the tiniest bit of spoiler because it gets explained in the show, but this is something that
Let's just wait.
Now that I'm saying,
don't tell me.
Yeah. Now that I think that we can revisit this conversation later, and maybe my knowledge of later stuff is affecting this as it's happening. But I will say that what I was about to say is a good thing towards the show, but it was just going to be more explanation into their eyes. So again, we'll just move on from that. So,
but I do have a question about the reveal because this is why I was hoping to get Lance on here tonight. You mentioned last week that you were in the same camp as us, that you thought it was Obito.
Mm-hmm.
And you had those conversations with Lance, so maybe you can just speak for him and later he can give his perspective or whatever. But what made you be in that camp? Just because I'm curious. And then what made Lance not think it was Obito?
And also, who did Lance think it was, or did he predict it all?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember for Lance. We'll have to ask him, and he can speak for himself. He may say that he thought it was Obito as well. From what I remember, that wasn't the case. I just don't remember who it was.
Gotcha.
Or if he even had. He had to have a guess. I don't know. But for me, it was the eyes. It was the right eye of Toby and the left eye of Kakashi. After finding out the story, it clicked for me like immediately. I was like, oh my God, that's who it is. Obviously not all the nuances of how, but I just was convinced that Toby was close enough to Obito and the eyes. That was it. And I just happened to be right.
So let me just see if you remember this. When did you connect that? The episode before it was revealed, or had you been thinking it was Obito for a while?
For a while, like before he even got his Rinnegan.
Okay, wow.
Like Orange Mask Obito, when it was still just one.
Yeah. I get that.
The eyes make a lot of sense, but I had just kind of forgotten about Obito. It was like, we got those episodes, he's dead. In our minds, it's like, well, he's gone. So, like, why would I think about him again?
Yeah, something that I think we should consider too, like my thoughts and theories are like you guys say, like, oh, I didn't connect that. Well, like at that time, I was still playing like Naruto fighting games, which would have Obito on it. So like he would be back on my mind without me watching any episode with him in it.
Like young Obito?
Yeah, young Obito. Like young Obito with both eyes, and then Toby, like just like different characters. So you think about characters again, or you have like memories of like you play through the story of the game, and then like you remember like parts of the story that you had forgotten, and then you're at a new part of this the show, and then it like something clicks for you. So that's definitely a part of it. It's not like I'm some mega thinker over here. It just kind of clicked and was like, this kind of makes sense. I think that's where it's going.
I think you're a mega thinker.
Thinker. So yeah, I mean, it was a while. It was probably around the time. It was before Toby switched to Madara. Like it was like still like goofy Toby.
Wow.
So pretty early.
That's a while. Okay, here's a question though. Is there like celebrity couple name Obi Toby or Toby Obito?
Obi Tobito is really good. Obi Toby
Obi Toby.
It's like Obi Toby Obi-Wan to Toby, something like that.
Obi Toby Zetsu.
Yeah.
Madara.
Speaking of Zetsu, so we found out Zetsu's origin.
Yes,
which is pretty interesting. Did you guys have any questions about that? I rewatched it a couple times just to make sure I like understood it, because even now there's just so many like nuanced details of they're like, we're gonna do this and then this and here's how this person blah blah blah. So
let me see if I can recap it, because like they're part of the ghetto, right? They were brought up in the ghetto.
Yeah, they're like derived out of that, like the ghetto like husk.
They had a rough childhood in the ghetto. So they fuse with Obito because they're like helping him heal, essentially. Sort of.
Yeah. So, yes and no. So originally, so whenever Obito was still in that like cave system with Madara. Right. And then he goes to punch the wall and his arm like falls off because it wasn't done healing. That is Hashirama's cells, which is the same thing that White Zetsu is made out of. But White Zetsu is like sentient. And this is not. Like this is just like Hashirama's cells. I'm saying this like motioning to my arm, like the arm that he had left, he had missing.
So if White Zetsu is sentient, then Toby is like barely sentient.
No,
Toby's that was kind of a joke. Toby's just a ding dong.
Yes.
Like White Zetsu's a little bit more like, I know what's going on today. I woke up today aware, and Toby's like, hey.
Exactly.
But Obito called him Swirly. Yeah, he's not Toby.
He got bullied in the ghetto.
Well, Swirl.
So, and then from then on, what was wrapped around him was like a sentient like part of White Zetsu.
Yeah.
So
pretty cool though. Yeah, not gonna lie.
Or yes.
I liked it.
It is. Yeah, he looks cool.
So like,
especially when his mask opens, he's got
the tentacles around him and everything or whatever they are.
It's cool. I want a figure of that.
You may not know the answer to this, but like Zetsu and Toby being sentient, are they like they were created? Do they have like a soul in the sense that other characters in Naruto have a soul, or are they kind of
no? So they're clones of Hashirama. That's why they're extremely downgraded, but you can think of them as a little bit more of a permanent clone, but they're still overall like a hive mind back to the ghetto statue. Black Zetsu, however, is not the same case. That is a will reincarnate of I guess it would be called, of Madara's.
Wow.
Transference, if you will.
Yeah, and there's only one of those. That's why we only ever see, and Black Zetsu doesn't have like nearly the capabilities of White Zetsu as far as like physicality. But he's got his own set of abilities.
He can record, right?
Huh? Just like, yes, he can record. Yeah.
And that from Madara was to keep Obito on the right track. Yes, because he was
more
about
of a guide.
Yeah. But there was a plan that Madara wanted to instill in Obito and that was the reason for that.
For when you say that, what do you mean that?
Transferring his will into the Zetsu to split it, so that there is a piece of it that reminds Obito this is the plan, but also like have his like that's what I took as his will. So
the plan that we're getting into what this is a huge shift in how things work in Naruto with the huge reveal. So with what we were told with and part of the reason why Jiraiya even trained the three children is because he believed that Nagato was the child of prophecy, that he was the reincarnate of the Sage of the Six Paths, which we have now learned was Madara's doing by transplanting eyes into him and then giving him the Rinnegan. So from then, that is like his planning. So he's got this plan. Obito fell into that plan very well. If it wasn't Obito, it was going to be someone else. Madara had to die, not because he needed to die for the plan to succeed. Madara needed to die so he could come back younger.
He's just old, right?
Yeah, he's just old. So like he could have stayed attached to the Geto statue for an indefinite amount of time. But he would have continued to age. So dying was definitely part of his plan. But to answer your question, like, yes, there was like this plan that he wanted to instill in Obito. But by the time he was ready to die and move on, he was leaving Black Zetsu, not to like keep him in line, but to more guide him of like Obito had already accepted the plan, was ready to take down the plan. He wasn't going to abandon that, clearly. And Black Zetsu wasn't there to keep him in line as much to like help him, to be a resource to him. There were things that, like the recording that Black Zetsu can do, there are things that he can offer and aid Obito in getting that plan across the finish line.
Gotcha.
So it wasn't so much as like a parent to guard him or whatever. More of like a comrade to help like drive it.
I think we're on the same page, because like when Madara shows up to the battlefield, he asks where Nagato is. Mm-hmm. And Obito reveals like he healed the leaf instead, right?
Yeah.
With the Rene Rebirth.
Right.
And that was Madara's like big plan.
That was his plan to come back. It was,
and so that's what I'm asking is like, was that why Zetsu kept giving commentary in the scenes where they're together of like, this is what we need to do to get our plan to like accomplish
he's definitely
what
like
we're doing.
Yeah, like he yes, we are on the same page. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm just defining his role as a comrade instead of as their leader.
Yeah.
As a replacement for Madara. Madara is still at this helm. He just was absent. So the helm was headed up by both of them, and Nagato being completely lied to.
Right.
That was my only question. Was he, like, once Madara died, was he not still a part of Obito at all? Like, was Madara, the voice just Obito, like, copying his voice?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
He died. We just chalked that up to great voice acting. And it just makes sense. It helps the viewer, like, oh, that's Madara's voice. Because if we had to learn, go ahead. Okay, I'll go. So we had to learn that, like, Madara's voice is the voice that we had heard after Toby's. We were like, oh, okay, that's his voice. And now once we learn it for the third time, I think that it was just total guess. I think it was just a choice of like, it makes sense to make Madara's voice this, so that way they're already used to it. And it helps confuse two Madaras. Think if we heard Obito's voice be different than the Madara of the reanimation. If those two came out, I think people would start. Now, obviously, two Madaras, people are like, what? But like,
sure,
it helps kind of the possibility of duplicate. So,
well, that's where I'd chalk it up. It definitely got me, because I was like, wait, is he not, like, is a part of Madara, like soul or body or whatever, consciousness, like still in Obito, like calling the shots? That was
just
confusing, but
imitation.
That makes sense. So he had just trained Obito enough mentally, among other things. Did he train him physically too, like to do the different jutsus, or was that more a product of like Toby being a part of him? Toby and Zetsu.
Yeah, definitely.
The ghetto stuff.
Don't know for sure. I'll defer to
ghetto
the lore master, but my guess is that it's kind of a combination of both. Maybe not so much that Madara was like teaching him jutsu, more so than like Madara is teaching him the plan and how to like understand the Uchiha better, and a lot of that stuff. And then his physical side, because we saw he got a lot stronger, definitely was trained by White Zetsu. Not that White Zetsu is a great fighter, just that Obito was building back up strength, because by the time Obito was crushed, like he was in all regards like a decent ninja. He's not like, he wasn't top tier or anything, but like he still had his bearings enough to like go train. So he wasn't, you know, like hand and fist with Madara, even though that would be cool.
So White Zetsu kind of got his gold and then retired and became a coach. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
So clear this
I feel
up
like
for
I
me.
can move on.
Clear this up for me.
Yes.
With the voice, going back to the voices.
Yeah.
Is the Toby, the swirly voice, actually swirly with the mask?
Yeah, so this is another thing. If somebody listening knows, please tell me. But I was listening to that part again and just trying to figure it out for myself, because it doesn't make a lot of sense that Toby is in there but not doing anything. But I do think that that's what makes the most sense. I think that like Toby's still in there, like whatever. He's just not the one actually talking. And he's just letting Zetsu, because Zetsu's around his body, so Zetsu could like in theory move his body for him, which actually we saw like swirly White Zetsu like kill all those ninja with after he saw Kakashi kill Rin, but we don't have, at least to my knowledge, actually I know in the show we don't have anything definitive telling us one way or another. Right. But there might be some writing somewhere that Kishimoto has a part of that tells us. I don't know. But my guess is that at that point in time, it just made the most sense for Swirly to sell that character, while in the background, Toby is still the one like acting the way he is, or acting as Madara the way like he would normally conduct business with Nagato.
My theory is that Obito got so sick of him that he was like, you can't talk anymore. Like, I'm going to use your voice and your powers, but like, you got to shut up, dude.
Because yes, I can't poop. I'm sorry, you have to watch it every time.
Yeah, dude, that's wild. No, they said that he didn't have to anymore. Obito doesn't have to drink or eat.
Oh, that's right,
dude.
That's right.
Also, that's crazy. But
that would
poop
be a
jokes
good
on this show. Poop jokes on this show are top tier.
Yeah,
the stuff with that flashback with Shino and Naruto.
Yes.
It can't be a hard poop and a diarrhea at the same time.
Yes, it can. So let's talk about Kakashi and Rin. We got a lot of context on why
I went back and watched
Obito
that.
is the way he is.
That's so unfortunate, man.
Dude, the sound, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but the sound effects when Obito is just destroying someone's face were so hard to listen to. And I always watch these with like headphones in, so I'm catching like every little detail. I had to like turn it down. I was like, oh.
Yeah, it sounds like boots in mud. That's how squishy it is.
Ugh. I was like, how? How did they air this?
Yeah. Yeah.
But okay, so obviously Kakashi is not killing Rin for like no reason. I went back and watched it just to see what was said. But there is a moment earlier, because I made a note about this. Oh shoot, I gotta find it. Obito says Kakashi let Rin die. He doesn't say Kakashi murdered her, which he could have if that's what he thought. And maybe I'm reading too far into it. Maybe it's a translation thing, but
I don't know. I was just thinking that I didn't watch that one in sub.
Oh, okay. I went back and watched in sub, and it's like pretty much identical.
Did you watch it on Hulu or Crunchyroll or Hulu?
Hulu. Yeah. But
I think that it's a different episode entirely for their subs. So like their sub and dub is two completely different episodes. So I would imagine that the sub translation is still like correct and not just like dub titles.
Yeah. Agreed. But in any case, that just told me that Obito understood maybe Obito might understand why Kakashi killed her. But he was also thinking like you could have done something different.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to let you guys speculate because there's nothing for me to answer because the story's not over.
Sure.
When you went back and watched it, Asher, did you see anybody like discovering this in the background?
No, didn't notice any of that. Why did you?
No, I just know like if you go back and watch back through Attack on Titan, like you can see.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The Jägermeister in different scenes that you just never would have picked up on. First of all,
did you see somebody in the background? Jaeger bombs.
Yeah, exactly. Jaeger bombs. But yeah, I was just curious if when you went back and watched it, did you like notice someone in the tree line?
Were you looking though?
No, not at all. I was only really looking for the dialogue.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Blood Mist people were like trying to capture her. So it was like, okay, we got a couple of options here. It looked like Kakashi was going to die. Mm-hmm. Also, like he is completely spent. They probably agreed this is the only solution here. Like they're going to capture you and whatever. Maybe she had information or something.
Yeah. Yeah. It's at this point in time, I cannot remember why they like are so obsessed with Rin, and I don't know why Obito's entire thing is like Kakashi and I can protect Rin, like we can finally protect Rin. Like what is it? Why is it that she needs protecting?
True
and if she needs protecting, why is she a ninja? Why is she like out on a team?
Yeah, but you know.
I'm telling you the truth right now, I cannot remember. I legitimately cannot remember like what makes her special, if anything. Or it could just be she's our medical ninja and we need to protect her. And I'm being like, I know that I lead you all astray on purpose a lot. Right now I'm telling you the truth. I can't remember.
I don't buy that for a second.
Why would it change anything for me? Why would it change anything for me to say that? Like, what's the point in me lying about that?
But it has to be something. I mean, it's got to be.
I agree. I've just forgotten. I'm not saying it's not anything. I'm saying I've forgotten.
I will say, going back to the original comment, like, that is just so... To not have that in the original scene when the Kakashi backstory originally aired, like to not understand the context of it, rightfully so, because we didn't even know Obito was still around. But knowing that was the reason he like abandoned his entire morals it's a little disappointing.
Oh, you think it's okay? But he wants to bring a world back where Kakashi, he even said this to Madara, that in his dream world, Kakashi would be there.
That's why I think he understands like what was happening.
That's an astute observation, Kevin.
But he doesn't. I don't know.
But it's not going to be like a 1-to-1, right? Like it's going to be, they're all going to be fake, yeah?
They're just cardboard cutouts.
So it's as real as a genjutsu feels. But yeah, they're fake. It's the Matrix.
Gotcha.
Oh, it's that one guy toward the beginning of the Matrix that was like, he's eating steak and he's like, I know this is just my brain firing and telling me that this is delicious steak, but ignorance is bliss.
Yeah. Isn't that Bill Burr?
No, I don't think so.
Is it not?
He does kind of look like him.
Gosh, I'm going to like watch the beginning of that movie.
That's hilarious.
In my mind, it's Bill Burr.
Hey, where do you even stream The Matrix?
I don't know.
Let's look. I'm on there.
You got to buy it straight from the Wachowski sisters, bro.
Paramount Plus. Sponsored by.
Speaking of, Paramount Plus is the only one we haven't like tried yet. And there's a bunch of shows on there I want to watch.
Bro, we got toddlers, man. We can't get rid of Paw Patrol.
Yeah, I have it just because there's Champions League on it. So
that's why you have it just because of Paw Patrol.
Yeah, Paw Patrol.
We do, yes. But we also have Walmart Plus
and Logan
with it. So if you're listening, if you have Walmart Plus, you also have Paramount Plus. This is Team 7 Podcast.
He really is a good boy. That was a quote from, I think, Toby.
That's a quote from... Okay, I want you to stop calling him Toby. That's not Toby.
Yes, he is.
It's not. That's Swirly.
That's Toby from the ghetto.
That's White Zetsu.
You're not going to throw me off the scent with this one. I know that's Toby from the ghetto.
All right.
Both of you are correct. Yes?
No.
Yes.
Asher's wrong. So let's talk about the end of this batch so we can move on and talk about the next batch and end the episode.
Cool.
The I'm in Hell episode. I know we talked about him fighting all those people in the signs or the sounds, but at the end, I think it's such a cool ending when he's like, "Oh, I'm in hell." It's like a realization of it's such a cool callback to whenever he wakes up and he's like, "Oh my God, you're the Grim Reaper. You're gonna kill me. You're gonna take me. Or I'm dead. You're gonna take me to heaven or hell." And he's like, "Please not hell. Please not hell." And then he's like, "Oh fuck, I'm in hell.
I'm already there."
Yeah, already there. Terrible feeling. So we will get more explanation on all that. Obviously, we've just learned it. So a whole lot of character development just all at once because they had to keep his identity secret for so long. And think in the manga, that arc with Kakashi and Obito and Rin, the first one that we saw like halfway through Shippuden. I even told you guys then that happens at the beginning of the Shippuden manga. Like that's the first thing you get is that story. And then everything else. So there's been a significant amount of time from like the first arc until now, whenever we're finally being revealed all this. So just prepare yourself. There's a ton of Obito character development, and obviously Kakashi is a big part of that. So yeah, it ramps up. I've said this a million times in the past 5 episodes, but it just continues to ramp up. So exciting stuff. Is there anything else in the batch that you guys wanted to talk about before we talked about next batch?
Was 346 like mixed filler?
It is, yeah. So the second half, everything that you see with Conan and Yahiko and Nagato, that leads into 347 and 348. And it's all just filler. Like there's nothing of importance there, and none of it is technically even canon. So it's not canon. So no real reason to watch it.
My only last question, which I don't think you can answer, is like, why is Madara obsessed with creating a world with like no pain anymore?
You're right.
And I'm assuming we get some like
that.
I'm assuming we get like some backstory on like his reasons for doing that too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That and so much more is ahead. Lots of pain and sorrow and sadness and
the only last thing I'll say is we get a flash over to the 5 Kage, and Tsunade is split in 2. Yeah. Insane scene.
Yes, I'm so happy you brought that up. And she's split in 2, and she says, "Bring them to me. I can still save them. My bottom half can wait." But Katsuyu does say pretty confidently, like, "Oh, let me put you back together."
Yeah.
So
Right.
but splitting
Talk
two is a
about
pretty
an
big deal.
Asshole.
So we'll see what she's got planned, because they were at the bottom of their chakra barrel like 2 batches ago, and they're still going. So, and that's another thing I was reading on Reddit this week. Like somebody had posted and was like, "What's your like most frustrating like thing with Naruto?" And that was it. That somebody was like, the chakra depletion should have mattered like way more. They like say it all throughout the show like it should matter, and then like suddenly everybody just has bottomless chakra. But it would ruin the show. I think that it would ruin the show if they were suddenly like, well, all right, I'll come fight you tomorrow. My chakra's out. I got to go sleep. Like, yeah, I mean, you kind of just have to accept that. So
I do like thinking back to when Tsunade was like, I just want to go walk around and gamble. It was very relatable compared to like where she is now. Like,
very relatable.
I'm split in two. Me and what's her name could have just, and the pig could have just been gambling and not focused on any of this right now.
Dry could be alive.
Don't.
Hey, in the Genjutsu, he would be.
Yeah, you might want to be on board with the infinite Tsukuyomi.
It's a real who's the big bad in game? Can't think of it. Thanos.
Yeah.
It's real like Thanos energy. Like this is the solution to
everyone in the world's problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And one big massive fix immediately. So yeah, next batch is, sorry, I've got something in my left eye. It's been bothering me for a minute. It is the Kakashi. Yeah, I hope. Is the Kakashi Anbu Black Ops arc. I've talked about it a few times already. It is 349 through 361.
Dang.
And yeah, 349 through 361. So that's 13 episodes. And it is Kakashi's story, but it doesn't lead like, we watch one episode and then it's just like pick up. Not every episode does that. It's just a lot of like just stories about Kakashi. I need to look into it for next episode and find out where the source material is for this. This might be a novella or something that was written. It still qualifies as filler, but I think that it's cool enough to watch, and I think that it would help you guys to respect the Anbu Black Ops a little bit more. So
doubt it.
I don't know about that.
Well, here's some names we're going to get to spend some time with. So obviously Kakashi, and then we get to spend some time with Itachi, and then we get to spend some time with Minato, the third Hokage, Gai Sensei, Yamato, who we've not seen in a minute.
I think he's gone, girl.
And we see a little bit of the fourth Hokage, or the fourth Kazekage in 349. So I think that it's definitely still worth watching, because there's a lot of characters that we know and love in this batch. But we'll see if it sways you guys on the Anbu Black Ops. I've never met two people more against it. Like Lance had an Anbu Black Ops decal on his car in college.
Yeah, well, that checks out. No, I'm just kidding. I love you, Lance.
He ain't listening.
I know tons of people that suck at their job.
No. He still hasn't told me that he heard that comment, so he ain't listening.
Yeah, he's not listening.
Yeah. He's only interested in the episodes he's in.
Ooh.
I'm just heard it here first, folks.
We'll see if he ever gets mad at that. Probably not, though, because he'll never hear it.
He doesn't get mad
episodes 349 through 361. I think that brings us to the cards. Let's just get right into it. Boom, Neji. Spend some time with Neji here coming up. Boom, Choji. Spend some time with Choji coming up. Boom, young Choji. Not him anymore. Konkuro. Thank you. Oh, and upside down young Sasuke.
Kind of
not a great card, but a card.
When he was slightly less of a bitch.
That's right. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see. Sasuke has.
We're running out of time for Sasuke's redemption arc, by the way.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if it's coming.
We are. Yeah, definitely. We'll see. I'm looking ahead. I don't think we'll actually see him again until 365, maybe actually 366. So it'll be a minute. But actually only one arc. Like we've got next week's episode and then we'll actually be good. Gotcha. Well, if that is it, then I guess we will just call it there. Episodes 349 through 361. We will catch you next time.